right, guys, thanks again for joining us. This is Cat's Pajamas.
And this is Pain User.
And we are broadcasting another round of 8 matchup here at the IPL Season 2 Qualifiers number 2. Again, this is a best of 3 because both these players have already qualified for the IPL Season 2. We are just determining seeding at this point. Here at the 3 o'clock position on Metalopolis, we have RGIFury. He is our orange Terran player.
Not quite 3 o'clock.
His 9 o'clock is what I meant to say. There we go. Bam! On top of things right now. Here at the 6 o'clock position, we have dignitasmerz spawning as our blue Terran player. Did get that one right. Proud of myself at the moment. Nice, cute little smiley face there from merz. And merz pretty convincingly winning game number 1. Now, there were a couple of mistakes that were made by Fury. Fury, has the right decision-making. He sees the early command center floating across, so he knows that, it's going to be relatively cheap units that are out at the beginning, makes a strong siege tank push, has siege mode ready, and doesn't siege up in the engagement, and Hellions and Marines just walk all over him.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying in that last game when I was like, you know what, merz really has to catch him out in the open. To make something happen. Mm-hmm. And he did catch him out in the open. He caught him in front of his natural, just outside the Xel'Naga tower. And when you catch an early push like that, especially if you've been pumping Hellions and Marines, you're going to have the superior Marine killing squad. Your Marines are going to engage his Marines, and then you're just going to have the added Hellions for support. And his siege tanks aren't going to be nearly as effective against your Marines as your Hellions are against his. So he cleaned up all his Marines very quickly, and that medevac allowed him to keep almost all the Marines alive. And then he killed both those tanks, and that set him back so far. Yeah, it makes you wonder if Fury had been able to siege up, and if he had brought a medevac instead of a Viking, things probably would have gone a lot differently. So merz, for the time being, dropping down his refinery. I believe this was pretty late. I think this went down on 14 because it is actually already finished for Fury. He is already mining off of that. Looks like merz actually going close positions by ground scouting there first. Of course, not going to find his opponent. He will go cross positions for the moment, finally find his opponent close positions by air. And I gotta admit, if you have a TVT on a symmetrical map like this, or where it's split down the middle, you really do like the close positions by air. Leads to some pretty dynamic dropping, and that's probably what I'd expect out of these players. Yeah. It also makes you a lot more cautious of dropping when you have those close air positions. Both players will probably be very conscious of this, put up a lot of missile turrets. Really, you got to protect your main extra special on this map, especially with close air spawns. And then one thing that it also leads to is kind of a stalemate action in mid near the Xel'Naga tower. If both players get siege and siege mode, you can really get into a stalemate position in the middle of the map right there. Sometimes it's very frustrating, very difficult to gain ground. And then a lot of times players will send small groups of Marines around the top Xel'Naga, because that will generally not be protected by siege tanks, and they'll harass the third or harass the natural or do any kind of damage that they can, really. But very quick command center coming out of merz. We're seeing a reactor expand once again, and he is dropping that factory, so looks like he is using, as he said earlier on in the game, to Muslims build, something that I think is very effective in TVT. It's that heavy mech composition, blue flame Hellions, siege tanks. It's very unconventional, but a lot of people really like it. A lot of players are using it, and from what I've seen, it's had some great success.
And Fury has already dropped down his starport. That's actually back at the back of his main. And when we saw it employed to pretty good success. I think, we've talked a little bit, though, that a lot of the initial success in game number 1, we didn't really see the full development of the build because merz was able to hold off that initial pressure so easily in game number 1. But no, it looks like Fury is starting to move towards the middle of the map with a few of those Marines. We'll see if he joins with this Hellion here in a second, or if he decides to just move up by itself. Taking a look, medevac is pretty close to being done. Looks like he is going to advance behind this medevac now, see how much damage he can actually do. Factory is sitting useless for the time being. Other than that medevac just about to finish, going right into a tech lab to follow this up. So we'll see what he ends up transitioning to. Now he's going to go ahead and drop with a bunch of units. Picks him up, going to ladder it into the main here. What exactly is waiting for him? Almost exactly the same number of units. Multiple Hellions coming out, though, So Fury does an attack
He
right
waited
now.
so long right there. I think he gave Merz enough time to produce another round of Hellions, and if Merz holds this push off, and it looks like he's coming in right now to the mineral line, trying to kill some SCVs here, but Merz has a pretty good sized force, and he pulls all of his SCVs, trapping 2 of those Hellions right there next to the command center. Might be able to pick all these off, but more importantly, he is losing a few SCVs here. But he is going to lose that entire army, and Merz essentially losing nothing right here. Could launch a very aggressive counterattack. He is following this up with a Banshee and Cloak. That Banshee is about 50% done. It will be out in a few seconds here, but the counterattack from Merz is going to be swift. It's going to be furious, and I don't know if he has enough to stop it.
Yeah, we have a Marine and a Medevac. Again, 6 Hellions, a Medevac, and 9 Marines approaching at his opponent. That is going to be devastating. Fury is really attempting to put up a bunker right now. He's got to hope that this Banshee... Guys, he's investing so much in tech when this huge counter push is coming at him right now. The bunker has been stopped. The rest of the units are going to make their way up. Hellions are going to crush through a lot of these forces, and Fury does get out 1 Banshee. Cloak is still about 23 seconds away from being done, getting that Banshee a little bit too far forward, and this is going to be kind of the critical moment of the game. Oh, he loses the Banshee! He loses the Banshee, and these Hellions are free to do whatever they want.
Look at Cloak.
It's just going to finish right now, but that is going to spell doom. Doom, I tell you! And Merz is going to be able to clean up. Look, all those SCVs are so low in health. Oh, they just all explode. So looks like that is going to be about all. Merz is going to be able to crush through the rest of these forces. Looks like a last-ditch cloaked Banshee being sent at his opponent.
And the turret is ready and waiting with a Viking, and Fury sees that. Says GG, taps out, and that really sucks. That's just one of those things. It's kind of luck of the draw. He wasn't paying attention to his Banshee for a second, but really not a lot else going on the map or even in his base that should have diverted his attention from that Banshee. I feel like when you're in a situation like that and there's that many units knocking at your front door and you just lost your entire army, that Banshee is your saving grace. It's all you have left, and you need to keep it alive. At the very least, maybe have like 8 of those SCVs, because he pulled all his SCVs. At the very least, have maybe 8 of those SCVs on auto repair sitting under it, trying to keep it alive from those Marines. But a couple of mistakes right there, took his eye off it for a second, and losing that Banshee lost him the game.
Yeah, backing the Banshee up for just a couple of seconds and letting Cloak finish as well would have been at least a decent opportunity. So, unfortunately, yes, Fury does fall 2-0 to Merz, who is going to advance to the semifinals of this of this qualifier for the IPL Season 2. So, guys, this is Cats Pajamas and Pain User. If you want to find out more about our cast or when we go live, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. I am at Cats Pajamas SC2.
And I am at Pain User, and I will post, as will Cats, all kinds of other updates there, as well as when we are going with live updates on our casts for the IPL.
All right, guys, so don't go anywhere. We'll have another set for you guys momentarily.